everyone, it's Mike here. It's the start of a new month, which means it's also the start of a new mission inspiration on our Facebook group. So if you want to pop over to the Facebook group to see what's going on there, then you can find it by just following that link that I'm putting on the screen at the moment. So as usual, I will play you the mission brief for the month, and then I will show you what I've done with the 10 prompts.
Welcome, Art Agent Specialists. Your mission for April, should you wish to accept it, is as follows.
Step 1. Adhere any size square of patterned paper. Step 2. Add a thin coat of paint, any colour you like. Step 3. Add texture paste with a spatula or a credit card. Step 4. Add paint or a colour spritz. Step 5. Add travel ticket ephemera. Step 6. Make marks using bubble wrap. Step 7. Add washi tape fragments. Step 8. Add a focal quote, phrase or journaling. Step 9. Add stamped images in ink or paint. Step 10. Create a border or frame around your page.
This message will self-destruct in 3 seconds. Good luck. So I'm starting to work in my circle journal, and I've cut some patterned papers from my stash into 3-inch squares. Now I've already worked out the centre of my circle, and I'm going to stick down my squares radiating from the inside out. So as you can see, most of the pieces are in place now. That all that remains for me to do is to allow it to dry and then just flip it over and cut off all the excess from outside of the circle. But I'm not going to show you that because it's boring. So step number 2 is to add a thin layer of paint, and the choice of colour is up to you. I'm using yellow ochre from Reeves, and all I'm doing is mixing it with a little bit of water on my craft mat, and I'm just going to apply that to the page with a brush. Now I'm also taking the opportunity here of just to fill in some of those little gaps where my squares didn't quite match up, so that masks those a little bit, and it does cause some of the corners to lift up a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that because I can fix that later on. But I'm just adding the yellow ochre colour to the page just to kind of give it that bit more of a vintage and old world feel. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just going to clear away the excess and then bring out my heat gun just to give it a nice little bit of a blast, a gentle dry, just to make sure that it's all settled in nicely before I move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is to add texture paste with a spatula or credit card. Now I'm using the embossing paste from Dreamweaver. This is Studio 490 Wendy Vecchi, or Vecchi, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And I'm just going to apply that through the stencil, which is called, I think, Tiny Circles from TCW. Now this embossing paste has a great quality. As you can see there, it kind of looks like caramel, but when it dries, it goes gold, which is very, very nice. And I think that's it. So all I'm going to do is just scrape up the excess and put it back in the pot because it's far too good to waste. And then we're ready for the next step. So step number 4 is to add paint or colour spritz. So all I'm doing is adding some of the vintage photo distress paint into a small spritz bottle, which I've mixed with some water, give it a bit of a shake, and then I'm just going to make sure it's coming through the spritz nozzle, and then I'm going to spray that randomly around my page and just allow that just to sit for a second, and then I'm going to bring in the heat gun and give it a blast to make sure it dries nicely before we move on to step number 5. Step number 5 is to add travel and ticket ephemera. So I've gone through my ephemera drawer and I've pulled out anything that I think looks kind of travel related and that I could use to add to my journal page. So I've got tickets, I've got luggage tags, I've got some photos, and I've got a few bits and pieces that I think just go really, really well. Now, before I stuck all these down, I did go around each of the ephemera items with the vintage photo distressing just to grunge up the edges and just to dirty them up a little bit. I thought I'd recorded doing that, but obviously I hadn't, so it's slap hands time for Mike. Step 6, we're going to make marks using bubble wrap. So I've got out my archival ink, which is the potting soil, and I'm just adding some of the ink to that bubble wrap, and then I'm just going to just lightly go around the page, adding those marks with that bubble wrap. But not content with just wanting to put dark marks on there too, I decided I'm also going to put white ones as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the Reeves titanium white paint, and I'm just going to grab my brush. I'm just going to mix a little bit of water on that and then just paint the bubble wrap, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing over the top of the potting soil. So I've got 2 different colour variations on the bubble wrap. Step number 7, we're going to be adding some washi tape fragments. Now I've gone through my collection of washi tape and I've pulled out ones that again have some kind of travel related theme to them. So I've got 2 or 3 different types that I'm just going to add randomly, well not randomly, in strategic positions on my page. And now we're ready for step number 8, which is to add our journaling quote or phrase. Now I've printed off mine using my Dymo Letra Tag label printer, and I'm just going to cut those the words up because it is quite a long quote. So I'm just going to pull the backing off because it is self-adhesive as well, and I'm going to stick those down directly onto the page, and then later I will go back over it again with some matte medium just to make sure it's all nicely sealed down when everything is totally dry. And step number 9, we're going to be adding stamped images in ink or paint. Now I'm using this old photopolymer Tim Holtz set, which I don't think actually has a name. I'm just trying to find the name for it now. It says Life's Possibilities. There you go, that's the name of the stamp set. And this is the one that's got the man with the umbrella. And it's also got a very nice clock in the set, and I'm just going to use my jet black archival ink. Now I am aware that I have texture paste on the page, so I'm not going to get a totally even impression, and I'm fine with that. I don't necessarily need one. I want this to be kind of old and sketchy and look like it's faded and that kind of thing, so not too upset if the impression isn't perfect. And this is the worn clock from the same set, so I'm doing exactly the same thing with the jet black archival ink, and I'll just randomly stamp that a couple of times around the page. And now it's time for the final step, step number 10, to create a border or a frame around the page. Now I'm just going to do a very, very simple one. I'm using the Ranger archival ink in potting soil and one of the ink blending foams. And I'm just literally just going to go around the outside of the page and just add that dark brown ink just to the edge, just to kind of, as I say, create a border and a frame just to finish it off. And while I've still got a little bit of ink left on that foam, I'm just going to dull down the white of my phrase and quote blocks because it is a little bit too stark, and I just wanted to blend it a little bit more into the background just to get rid of some of that, that white. And seeing as this is my circle journal, I just have one more job to do, which is to reopen the holes for the side of my page so I can add it back into my journal. And I'm just using a hand punch to do that. And that is all 10 steps complete. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching the creation of that page, and if you have and you felt inspired, then please do pop across to the Facebook group and join in with the fun. You can find the link here on the screen and also in the description area below the video. And please, if you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me. I will see you all again real soon. Bye for now.